Hey guys, welcome to Kids Church Mobile, and it is Friday! Woo woo woo! Hey, we are going to be starting some really fun reading today. Well, it actually starts out with probably one of the worst kings and queens that have ever lived in the world, King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. We'll be reading a little bit about them today. But I just want to encourage you that the stories we're about to walk into are just so fun. You're not going to want to miss any of these. As we get into some of the coolest prophets, Elijah and Elisha, you're going to hear some really cool miracles and amazing things that God does. You're not going to want to miss the next couple weeks. Okay, so our word for the day is, where is it? Oh, wait. I wasn't going to tell you the word for the day. I'll tell you my phone number first. I'm going to save the word for the day as a surprise until later. My phone number, anybody can quote it? Anybody already know it? 352-789-4115. Yep, make sure you text me today and let me know that you're watching. Halfway through our lesson today, I'll be also showing you our keyword that I almost showed you a minute ago. This will be the first word out of 3 clues. So just for fun, we're going to find out when I give the next clues for Friday and then Monday and then Wednesday. We're going to find out if you can figure out what my 3-word clue is. A lot of you figured out our one from last time was Pearl Harbor. Interesting. When you type in all 3 clues at the end of our 3 nights, you should be able to find out in Google what I'm talking about. Pretty cool. All right. So make sure you call me or text me today and let me know that you are watching, and I'll make sure to put you into our drawing for the summer splash pack. Now, I've already shown you a couple of the items in the summer splash pack, but I'm going to show you just some of the little extra candy kind of stuff. You've already seen some of the bigger things, although the biggest thing I haven't even shown you yet. Do I have any Twizzler lovers besides me? I love Twizzlers. So I'm going to throw a pack of Twizzlers into our summer splash pack as well. Hope you've been watching, because I've shown, I think, 4 different items so far. Twizzlers will be number 4. We're going to make a huge summer splash pack. And like I said, the biggest item I haven't even shown you yet. Next week, I'll be showing a couple of things. I'll probably be recording next week, maybe from my campground, because my family and I are going on vacation. So you'll probably get to see my campground next week. But just wanted to remind you, summer splash pack is coming. We'll do the drawing on the first week of Wednesday. Our first Wednesday of August. That's what I meant to say. All right. Are you guys ready for some reading? Okay. Go ahead and turn in your action Bibles to page 376. We're going to start reading today. It's called The Wicked Queen and the Defiant Prophet. And these are some really fun stories. You're going to enjoy these. Are you ready? Okay. Here we go. About 60 years after Israel split into 2 kingdoms, Ahab proves himself to be the most evil in a long line of already bad kings. But his first and most wicked act begins when he marries Jezebel. Everybody say, Jezebel. Yeah, she's a wicked girl. A foreign princess who worships a foreign god. And you know what? Let me just say this too. She doesn't just worship a foreign god. She wants everybody to worship her God. And if you don't, she's going to try her best to take you out. I mean, she's a wicked woman. All right, here we go. If I am to be queen of all Israel, then all of Israel must worship my God, Baal. She just looks evil, doesn't she? Now, look at her turn on her charm. Please, my dear, build me a temple for Baal. Anything you ask for, my queen. Oh, good, because I've already invited several hundred priests from my home country to settle here. Oh, then you can see the people down below. They're like, more sacrifices to Baal, Jezebel's god of rain? Huh. The other guy says, she doesn't respect the one true God, that wicked queen. And the third one says, watch your tongue or you'll lose it. Queen Jezebel won't stand for talk like that. So even though she was the queen, and technically the king runs the country, but in this case, the queen really had a lot of influence on the king, could pretty much do anything she wanted. Nor will she stand for any competition with her God. So you see, Ahab's talking to her, and he says, many of my people have turned to your God Baal. And she says, my God? He's also your God, Ahab, and everybody's God. Only Baal will be worshipped where I am queen. And then you can see he says, that won't be easy. There are still people in Israel who worship Israel's God. And Jezebel says, they won't worship Israel's God any longer. Shut down the temples. Kill anyone who won't bow to Baal. Man, she's evil. Even as she gives her orders, a stranger in travel-worn clothes appears before the throne. Who are you? How did you get past our guards? And he says, I am Elijah, and the Lord is my God. You think Baal controls the rain and the crops? I will show you who's in charge. There will be no more rain in this land, not even a morning dew, until I say so. Now Jezebel's mad. She's like, guards, kill this man. But Elijah disappears before anyone can lay hands on him. Outside the palace, the word of the Lord comes to Elijah. It's time to hide. Following the Lord's instructions, Elijah goes to a tiny creek east of the Jordan River. There, ravens bring him bread and meat in the morning and the evening. I think it's kind of funny. The Lord has a sense of humor. He could have used any kind of miracle to feed me, yet he's using unclean birds to bring me food. I'm going to move my camera here for a second. I actually just kind of think it's funny too, because ravens are known to be pretty selfish as birds, and God used like one of the most selfish birds to be one to share with his prophet and to keep him, nourished and healthy. I will wait here until God tells me my next step. I must say, I'd rather pass the time with unclean animals than with Baal worshiping people. Meanwhile, Jezebel is furious. Obadiah, since you are our chief steward, I order you to hunt down anyone who still worships Yahweh, which is a fancy name for God, and kill them, especially the prophets, and especially this Elijah. But Obadiah himself is still faithful to the Lord. Instead of killing the Lord's prophets, he secretly hides them in caves. Ooh, I like Obadiah. So she's like, Obadiah, get rid of any God-worshiping person. Obadiah's like, I am a God-worshiping person. She's like, kill all the prophets. Well, they did disappear, but what she doesn't know is that Obadiah actually hid them in caves. I think he had like a 50 in each cave. He had 2 caves. And so, this man, Obadiah, is actually one of my heroes, because even when everybody else was going crazy, he quietly went about his business. And Jezebel didn't really know his faithfulness to God, but behind the scenes, he was actually protecting 100 of God's prophets at his own expense and at his own jeopardy of his life. If Jezebel found that out, she would kill him in a split second. I like Obadiah. All right. As the months go by with no rain, Israel's once green land slowly but steadily becomes a desert. The streams dry up and the crops die. A famine overcomes the land. And if you aren't really sure what a famine is, look at the pictures below. See, in the first picture, you can see them bringing in wheat so they can make bread and stuff. And then the second picture, you see all that stuff kind of dying out. And in the third picture, even the ground is beginning to crack from how dry it is with no rain. And then you can see the king over there saying, this is all Elijah's fault. You know what? It's not really Elijah's fault. Elijah's just the one that said, hey, there's going to be no rain because of the sin of your people, and bringing like Baal worship in here. This is not cool. So the real issue is the sin of the people of Israel, but it's amazing how they blame the man of God. All right. Are you guys ready? Before we do the second half of our story, I'm going to give you today's word. Today's word is, let me get it ready. I actually almost showed it to you earlier. Did you guys see it? I barely showed it for a split second. Here it is. Ready? Green. So the first clue for this week's surprise word is green. Text me that and I'll know you watched today's lesson. All right, so let's find out what happens. King Ahab and especially evil Queen Jezebel, they hate Elijah. So let's find out what happens. Page 380 is called Elijah's Flower Power. Now you notice flower is spelled Flour. So it's not like the kind of flour that you like, smell because it smells so beautiful. This is the kind of flour like that you make bread out of. The drought has affected Elijah's creek as well. After a year with no rain, his water source dries up. I will trust in the Lord to tell me what to do next, unless you ravens can learn how to carry water. And then he hears God speak. Go hide in Jezebel's homeland. I have chosen a widow who will provide for you. What? God is sending Elijah, first of all, out of Israel to Jezebel's homeland, which is kind of ironic. The one who wants to kill him, he's hiding among her people and she doesn't even know it. God wants me to leave Israel and live among Baal worshippers? And how will a poor widow have any food during a famine? Well, I stand before you, Lord. I trust and obey. So Elijah's kind of like, I'm not really sure how this is going to play out, but I do trust you, and I know that you have my best interest at heart. So he obeys God, even though the plan looks kind of weird. When Elijah enters the town of Zarephath, he sees an old woman gathering sticks. Mother, it's not like really his mom, just a term of endearment for an older lady. He says, Mother, could you please give me a drop of water and a crumb of bread? In despair, the woman answers him bluntly, You are an Israelite. Your Lord may grant you long life, but I am not so lucky. I have but a handful of flour left and no money to buy more food for me and my son. I'm gathering these sticks to cook one last meal before we die of starvation. At least we will die together. What a sad story. She's like, I have no more money. This is only a little bit of food I have left. My son and I are going to eat one last meal together, and then we're going to die. And then Elijah says to her, he says, My Lord will provide a miracle for us. Go, bake your bread, and have hope. True to Elijah's word, every time the widow cooks, this is weird but awesome, her jar of flour always has a little left over, and her jar of oil never runs dry. For 2 years, those 2 tiny jars provide food for herself, her son, and Elijah. Isn't that cool how God did that? You know what, guys? I'm just going to stop and tell a really fast story. I don't have a lot of time. But when I lived in Toledo, we used to have like a lot of buses. We had, I think, 2 or 3 buses running at this particular time, and a lot of kids who just walked to church because we lived where there were lots of kids around our church. And so anyway, we always had a lot of kids, and we always made them lunches. One night, we really didn't have enough lunches, and we were short like by, I don't know, like 30 lunches. We didn't have enough. And so we told the kids who walked to church, we said, if you guys will wait until the buses get back, we'll serve the kids on the buses first. And then will you guys just be patient with whatever's left? I'm not sure how much will be left, but if you guys can just take what's left. And so our kids who walked were very patient, and they just waited, and the buses ran their routes. We like played a game or something like that till the buses came back. When the buses came back, we didn't expect to have nearly enough lunches. And I think we probably had about 30 kids that were walkers that we didn't think we were going to have lunches for. Every kid on the bus got a lunch. And when they came back, every kid who walked, there were so many lunches left that they got to take 2 home each. I'm not kidding. This is the God's honest truth. That should never have happened. God multiplied our food for us that day. He really did. And we counted and counted twice. We knew we did not have enough. And God just really blessed us. Isn't that cool? It's kind of like what he just did for Elijah. He just blessed the food. And in his case, the widow just kept making food, and her flour just never ran out. And her oil just never ran out. So that's pretty cool. But tragedy still strikes. Here we go. But tragedy never seems far from her household. Why did you come here? Your God never noticed me or my sinful ways before you came. Now he's punishing me by killing my one and only son. Ooh. Now, this is just one of those things that Elijah doesn't know exactly, what's wrong, but the widow comes running to him, and he's like, something's wrong, but I'm not sure what it is. Her son had passed away. And she's like, how can my son pass away? I thought that God was taking care of us. And again, sometimes these things just don't make sense. And Elijah says to her, have peace, mother. My God does not work that way. Okay, now I have to keep moving my camera today. I'm sorry, but my dog is parked right on the easel of the stand and he keeps kicking it. Okay. So Elijah says to her, have peace, mother. My God does not work that way. And then he says, right? Why would you save us just to kill her son? So Elijah's kind of asking God too, how is this? How is it that you're saving our lives, but then her son dies? The Lord responds to Elijah's question with power and brings the boy back to life. So this is one of the first times in the Bible that you see the resurrection from the dead. God uses Elijah. It's actually really weird if you read in the Bible how Elijah does it. If you have time, you'll have to read 1 Kings chapter 17. But the story is longer than what we have time for in the Action Bible. But it's really weird and cool. All right. So Elijah says to the woman, see, your son is not dead, but alive. Actually, he was dead. He's not anymore. Now I believe your God, and I trust that you speak his truth. Through this miracle, God shows that he cares for all people, not just the Israelites. Now, a lot of the Israelites thought they're God's people and he doesn't care about anyone else. No, he just showed that he cares people of all nations. All right. Oh, I love this story. You're going to love this story. This is we're coming into some of my favorite stories in the whole Bible. This one is called Battle of the Gods, page 382. Elijah has been hiding in Sidon from the attacks of Queen Jezebel. After 3 years of drought, God tells Elijah to return to Israel so the rains may come again. And you can see Elijah, he says, it's time to be seen. Elijah's like, okay, I've been hiding out for 3 years. The first person he meets on the road is Obadiah. Remember the guy who hid all the priests? That's him. Who is loyal to the Lord, even though he's King Ahab's chief counselor. After all these years, Elijah, is it really you? Elijah says, tell King Ahab that I am here. Obadiah says, are you kidding? He'll kill you, and then he'll kill me. And then he says, which Lord do you serve, Ahab or Yahweh? He says, I've spent 3 years protecting the Lord's prophets from Ahab and Jezebel. I am the Lord's servant. And Elijah says, then trust in me, trust in the Lord, tell Ahab where I am. When Obadiah reports back to Ahab, the king wastes no time in galloping off to confront Elijah. Troublemaker! Elijah says, you're the one who has made the trouble, O king. You broke God's commandments and worshiped Baal. You want me to end the drought? Send for all the prophets of Baal. Gather the people of Israel, then meet me on Mount Carmel. Now, I love the name Mount Carmel. Give me some vanilla ice cream with that and maybe some peanuts on top. You know what I'm saying? He says, meet me at Mount Carmel. Ahab is happy with this proposition since Mount Carmel is considered the sacred dwelling of Baal. He brings all the prophets of Baal, 450 of them, to meet Elijah, and thousands of Israelites follow them to see what will happen. The morning dawns on a great crowd gathered on the mountain by the sea. So Elijah says to all the people, he says, people of Israel, how long will you limp back and forth between the Lord and Baal? If Baal's God, worship him. If the Lord is God, worship him and him only. Today you must choose. He says, I love this part. We shall have a contest. Bring 2 bulls. Give one to Baal's prophets and one to me. Let them make an offering and call on the name of their God. I will call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers with fire is the real God. Oh, and I'll let them go first. The crowd reacts with awe at this test, knowing that if Elijah loses, Ahab will condemn him to death. Now, you got to admit, if you heard that there was going to be a showdown between 2 gods, you'd want to be there too. And so that's what we're looking at. The prophets of Baal are forced to accept the challenge. With great ceremony, they prepare the altar and sacrifice and begin to chant and call upon their God. The prophets chant prayers to Baal from morning until noon, but there's no answer. There's no voice. There's no one to answer. Now, Elijah all right, how do we say it? Elijah starts talking smack. He's like seriously talking smack to these guys. He says, call a little louder. Perhaps Baal is deep in thought and he can't hear you. Or maybe he's in the bathroom or sleeping. He's just absolutely mocking them because he knows Baal is not a real God. It's just, probably an evil spirit or something that they chant to. But he knows it's not the real God. So he's like completely mocking them. In response, the prophets chant themselves into a frenzy. For 3 more hours, they dance around their altar frantically, even cutting themselves, hoping to get a reaction from their God. But there is no voice. There is no one to answer. There is no God paying attention to them. Finally, after a full day of trying, the exhausted prophets of Baal give up. They are like wiped out, waiting for Baal to answer them, but Baal's not even God. He's not going to answer them. Now it is Elijah's turn. As the daylight dwindles, he calls the people of Israel to come near. Then he takes 12 stones, one for each tribe of Israel, and uses them to rebuild an altar to God, the true God. When the altar is finished, Elijah digs a deep trench around it. What is he doing? I don't know. Look at that big old trench he's digging around it. Elijah puts the bowl for the offering on top of the altar and then orders men to pour water over it. Didn't he say that God was going to answer by fire? I mean, water and fire aren't supposed to mix. He says, pour on more water, fill the trench. So he doesn't just say, my God's going to answer by fire. He straight up pours water and everything over the altar. He's going to really show off. Then, before the water-soaked altar, as the sun is setting over the Mediterranean Sea, Elijah prays, hear me, O Lord. Let it be known today that you are God in Israel. Answer me, Lord, so these people will know you again and turn their hearts back to you. Instantly, lightning strikes out of the cloudless sky and burns up not only the sacrifice, but the stones of the altar and every drop of water in the trench. The lightning just sucked it all up and... Oh, I wish I could be there. I hope there's videos in heaven where we can watch it happen. The Lord is God. You can see the people wow, the Lord is God, not Baal. When the people see God's power, they turn angrily against the frightened prophets of Baal. The Lord, he is God. The prophets of Baal are false. They killed the prophets of God. They should be put to death. And the people go after and kill all the 450 prophets of Baal. Okay, now, if you look in that sky, remember they haven't had rain for 3 years, and they see this tiny little sky. It says, Elijah says, look, just as God has promised, a cloud to bring rain. And they're looking at that cloud going, that's it? Suddenly, the tiny cloud gives way to a huge downpour. Within moments, everyone is drenched. King Ahab falls to the ground in shock. Elijah says to him, get up, King Ahab. The Lord has shown himself again in this land. This is a reign of repentance to renew and purify God's land and his people. Now you'd better get in your chariot and head back to Jezebel before the parched ground becomes too muddy for your wheels. As Ahab spurs on his horses, God gives Elijah the strength to outrun even the king's chariot. This lets Elijah get back to town first, so he can give credit for the rains to the Lord before Ahab has a chance to spread false rumors about the contest. All right, so we're going to stop there today, but I want you to think about this. Next time we read, think about this. How mad is Jezebel going to be that Elijah just absolutely showed up her God and killed all her prophets? Don't miss the reading with me on Monday. This is going to be good. I love the stories of Elijah. So we're going to be hitting some more of that on Monday. All right. Well, I love every one of you very much. And I will see you Monday, probably from my campground. We'll see. All right. Love you much. Catch you on Monday. Don't forget to text me. Bye.